Rachel never imagined her first posting as a nurse would take her to the largest hospital in the village and old, but a respected facility. Her first evening was bright, almost warm. Children played, nurses hurried through the corridors. Patients moved freely. She felt excited. Until she heard a voice behind her. "Hey! Newbie!" She turned sharply. A tall doctor in deep blue scrubs stood there, handsome in a quiet way, intense eyes. A tired smile. "Good evening, doctor," as she said shyly. "I'm Nurse Rachel." He blinked as if startled by her presence. He studied her a moment longer than necessary. Something flickered in his gaze, curiosity and something protective. "I'm Dr. Godwin. You will be my night duty partner." His tone was different, like he was afraid of something he couldn't say. "Rachel," the doctor called her again. "You come to my office." She followed him with her heart pounding. "I honestly don't know what I have gotten myself into," he said. Rachel's stomach knotted. He leaned in, lowering his voice. "I'm also a newbie. I resumed barely a month ago. Last week, there was a secret meeting. Only doctors were allowed to attend. They announced they would recruit new nurses, and each doctor must pick one nurse to accompany them for the night festival." "Night festival?" Rachel whispered. "A deadly game," he said. "A game the hospital hides from the world." Rachel's eyes widened. "I tried to leave, but they threatened me. And today, the moment I saw you walk in, something pulled me to you. I felt connected. I felt like I can trust you with our lives. So, I chose you." The room suddenly felt colder. "We're not in the real hospital anymore," he continued. "This evening, the hospital will shift into another dimension. Kick-starting the beginning of the ritual, every patient you see from now on is a ghost." Rachel almost fainted. Tears filled her eyes. "Listen," he said, voice shaking. "We must survive. 10 doctors were chosen for this year ritual festival. Only one pair will make it out alive. And for us to win, you will have to face any challenges without you showing a sign of disgust or fear." He sighed. "Once the ghost notice you are not part of them, we will both die instantly." He handed her a paper. "These are the rules. 1. Treat every ghost you see, no matter how frightening, treat them like your life depends on it. 2. Never enter room 1. Not even if you hear my voice calling you. 3. The worst of the all, you will have to breastfeed the ghost babies. You're not just breastfeeding them, they are draining you and you could die. 4. As you are stepping out to meet the other nurses from other departments, do not talk about it, act as if everything is fine. Others too will act like that, so don't be tempted." Before she could ask more, a violent wind swept through the office. A blinding flash erupted, reality bending like glass. The game had begun. Trying to compose herself, Rachel joined the other nurses in the lobby. Everyone pretended to be normal. But the air was too still. Too silent. Suddenly, a pregnant woman limped into the hospital and morphed into a cat, collapsing in pain. One of the nurses let out a terrified scream, then collapsed, coughing up blood before falling lifeless to the floor. Rachel's heart lurched, panic clawing at her chest, but she remembered the warning. Rachel screamed internally but forced a calm smile. "Doctor! Emergency!" she shouted. Together, they rushed the ghostly woman to the delivery room. She gave birth to 8 kittens, each hissing like newborn infants. Rachel swallowed her horror and cleaned them gently until the cat and kittens vanished into thin air. She staggered back to her post. "Help! Help me!" A distant scream echoed. Rachel traced the voice to a dark corridor. There, she found another nurse stabbed on the floor, lifeless eyes staring at nothing. Rachel did not scream. She tried to do CPR, but it was too late. She forced her heartbeat to steady and walked back to the reception. But the night was far from over. A heavy wind blew, shaking the hospital windows. A massive snake slithered across the floor, twisted and became a pregnant woman. "My name is Sandra," as she said calmly, "Please, deliver my children." Rachel moved closer, terrified. "Doctor," as she whispered, chills running down her spine. Dr. Godwin and Nurse Rachel successfully delivered the babies. By now, other nurses and doctors from other departments were facing their own encounters. 6 had already failed, leaving only 4 survivors, including Dr. Godwin and Nurse Rachel. The snake woman delivered 25 snake-like infants, and they all dissolved into smoke. Rachel trembled. "Doctor," she paused. "Don't forget the rules." Dr. Godwin looked at her. "But I'm here. Remember that." Her heart thundered. He looked at her with soft eyes. "Rachel, I'm truly sorry. I didn't mean to drag you into this. But since yesterday, when I first saw you, I knew you were my partner." Rachel's breath caught. She had secretly admired him too, his kindness, his reputation, his gentle charm. He held her hands. "We will win, together." A warmth spread through her chest. "Yes. Let's finish this." But the building trembled again. Another flash of light. "What's going on?" Rachel asked. "I don't seem to understand," Dr. Godwin replied. She hurried back to the hospital reception to continue her duty. Rachel's hands were bruised, her face pale. Exhaustion weighed on her like cement. She briefly nodded off. A phantom hand struck her across the face. She gasped in pain but pretended nothing had happened. Blood dripped from her nose as she wiped it away quietly. Crowds of spirits suddenly flooded the hospital, begging for help. She smiled through the dread and attended to them all. Then, ding! The bell from room 1 rang. Her entire body stiffened. Then she heard it. "Rachel! Help me, please." It was Dr. Godwin's voice. Or something mimicking him. For 30 minutes, she endured the torturous cries, biting her tongue until it bled. Then, suddenly, the voice stopped. Everything was quiet again. Nurse Rachel let out a shaky breath, relieved. Godwin returned, hugging her tightly. "We're one of the last 2 teams left," he said. "The final trial is next." Rachel whispered, tears in her eyes, as Psalm 73 verse 26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart." Then 4 pregnant women in black dresses, their faces invisible, appeared from the hallway. They were all in labor. Rachel and Godwin rushed between wards, delivering babies in a frantic blur. Babies cried, blood spilled, and the building shivered like a living creature. "Rachel, take that patient alone." Godwin shouted. Fear gripped her. "Be strong and courageous," Dr. Godwin urged. She delivered the babies perfectly. In an instant, the women vanished, and the newborns disappeared with them. Godwin and Rachel exhaled in relief, but their joy didn't last. Suddenly, cries echoed from the newborn ward, loud enough to deafen them. They ran toward the sound and found the only remaining doctor and nurse still alive, standing and staring at tiny, unfamiliar creatures. "What should we do?" Dr. Godwin shouted over the deafening wails. "You must feed the babies," a ghostly doctor commanded. The 4 of them froze in shock. "So these are the babies you told me about?" Rachel cried. "I haven't even given birth before. How am I supposed to feed ghost babies?" Dr. Godwin placed a trembling hand on her cheek. He felt guilty for dragging her into this horror, but he had been left with no choice. They had threatened to kill him if he didn't comply. Now it seemed all hope was lost. "I didn't expect the festival to be this deadly," he said, tears falling. "If you can't do it, I won't force you. I'm truly sorry for putting you through this." Rachel wiped her tears and looked at him with fierce determination. She wanted to survive. She stepped into the ward and began lifting the ghostly infants one by one to feed them. She and the other nurse fed the babies, and with every child, their strength drained. Their vision dimmed. The doctors watched, praying silently for their partners to succeed. At 20 babies each, both women were on the edge of death. Rachel whispered, "I don't want to die." Tears soaked her cheeks. She regretted ever coming to the hospital. She wished the moment would pass. She wanted the horror to end. She wanted her life back. Godwin knelt beside her. "You've tried, Rachel." With her last drop of strength, Rachel picked up another baby. The other nurse collapsed. The two doctors rushed to wake her, but it was too late. Rachel had won. Dr. Godwin watched as the other doctors vanished into thin air. "We made it," he said coldly. A ghost doctor appeared. "To truly end the game, burn the black book in the basement. Only then will the winner inherit the hospital. Please, I need to save Rachel." Godwin cried, holding her weak body. The ghost doctor disappeared. Godwin sprinted downstairs. The walls cracked. Shadows screamed. He saw the black book. He tore it apart and set it on fire. The whole building shook with fury because for the past 30 years, no one had ever won the game. Dead ghosts rose from the ground. Their faces softened with relief as one by one they disappeared into the sky, their souls finally freed after 3 decades of torment. 30 years earlier, the hospital's former owner had secretly poisoned the water supply so he could frame his brother. Many patients died. The innocent brother was blamed and stoned to death. The murderer then became the head of the hospital. But good times don't last. After 1 year, people began disappearing. Mysteriously. In desperation, he brought in a shaman who locked the angry souls inside the hospital. He created the festival, a yearly ritual requiring sacrifices to appease the trapped spirits. The Black Book held the names of those fated to die. Anyone who survived the ritual automatically inherited the hospital, and the current owner would die. For 30 years, innocent lives were sacrificed. The whole dimension collapsed. A white light flashed. Then boom. Beep beep. An ICU monitor echoed in the room. Godwin opened his eyes. "Dr. Godwin is awake," the nurses shouted. He ripped off the wires and stumbled out of the bed. "Rachel, where is she?" He found her in a coma in room 1. He fell beside her. "My love, we made it." Weeks passed. Then Rachel finally woke up. The hospital offered them ownership, but Godwin rejected it. They willed it to an innocent doctor instead, because the Black Book was gone and the festival was destroyed forever. Both resigned. Both survived. Both fell in love. And their lives continued bound forever by a night of horror, courage, and destiny.